Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 Style. The Olympic freeze has lifted as of yesterday, and the trade deadline, believe it or not, it's like in 10 days, March 6th on a Friday. We are hitting this end of the season schedule running. There's going to be no space to breathe. So let's finally get this video out, the trade deadline board for the Utah Mammoth. The trade deadline last year, really quiet for the Utah Hockey Club. What they did do differently from other teams, they didn't buy anyone, they didn't sell anyone, they just extended a lot of their free agents. We saw the Vejmelka extension, Kerfoot extension, Ian Cole extended, and Olli Maatta, now another bronze medal in his repertoire, he was extended as well last trade deadline. So that's why I got the free agents on the board, because if they do what they did last year, Bill Armstrong is going to try and extend and lock up Utah's free agents that he has. So these are the free agents for the Utah Mammoth. All of them are unrestricted free agents, except obviously for restricted free agent Barrett Hayton. Barrett Hayton cannot go willy-nilly, talk to other teams and sign with other teams. The Utah Mammoth control his destiny. Yes, he can be offer sheeted, and then Utah will have to match it or get compensated in draft picks. But usually that is rare, and I don't expect that for Barrett Hayton. But all these other players, July 1st, they can just walk to another team and sign with another team without Utah Mammoth really needing to do anything, and the Utah Mammoth cannot prevent that. So do I expect any of these players signed? Maybe Carcone, Stenlund, I could see extended, but to be honest, I think we would walk away from guys like Kerfoot, Cole, DeSimone, and Vanacek. Vanacek, he expires at the end of the season. I think it's pretty obvious we shouldn't extend him. For Yamamoto, it's either one or the other with him and Carcone. I think they're pretty much very similar players, small-statured speedsters who play the right way, play hard, they play simple hockey. So I feel like you just got to pick one of them. Both of them in your lineup, I don't think bodes well for a playoff competitive team. So I would choose Carcone over Yamamoto, even though Yamamoto seems like a fan favorite, but obviously I'm biased with the Arizona Coyote days. And I feel like Carcone has really had a great bounce back year compared to last year with the hockey club. So I could see an extension for Carcone. For Stenlund, it's again between Stenlund and Kerfoot. I think I'd rather Stenlund. I'd rather a fourth line defensive forward, great on the PK, great in those situations where you need a face-off win, and he's one of our better face-off men, so I would extend him. We went pretty much the whole season without Alex Kerfoot, and we're in pretty good position, even though Kerfoot, adding him into the lineup now that he's healthy post-Olympics is going to be great. He adds versatility, can play on the top line, can play anywhere in your lineup, fourth line, can play PK, can play power play. He's a great Swiss Army knife to have. But I think for money-wise, you should probably use that money more in Stenlund, more of a proprietary role and a very specific role Stenlund brings, as opposed to Kerfoot, who could pretty much do everything but doesn't excel at just one thing. And then the elephant in the room, Nick Schmaltz. I do not expect an extension for in terms of the trade deadline. I do expect him to get extended maybe later or early in the summer. I would love for Schmaltz to be extended in the next 10 days, but my gut feeling says that probably won't happen. But I do expect an extension of Schmaltz. But you never know, if Bill Armstrong and Nick Schmaltz's agent, if they both know they're walking away from each other, I mean, then you would probably have to trade Nick Schmaltz. So then you would have to do that trade within the next 10 days. But then, what ramifications does that have to the locker room? So a lot of big questions for Bill Armstrong if that is the direction that's happening. Obviously, guys like me and you, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. We all just hope Nick Schmaltz would get extended, but Bill Armstrong knows best. He knows more than we do, obviously. So if that has to be the road that has to be taken, it's a really tough road. You got to manage and balance the locker room, who's fighting for a playoff spot, and then he's an asset, and if he's going to walk away for free, probably better to get some assets in return. But I think the biggest trade deadline acquisition for the Utah Mammoth, and I think across the league, is Logan Culie getting healthy. He was practicing right before the Olympics, in a non-contact jersey. Now he's practicing the past couple of days now when the team was able to resume practices. He's practicing in a regular jersey. He should be 100%. You're injecting like a top 6 elite offensive player into your lineup, helping out on the power play, which it sorely needs improvement. So I think Logan Culie is the best thing to happen for this team for the trade deadline. I got their draft picks because when you make trades, usually they involve draft picks. My opinion, do not touch your first round pick for 2026. The reason is they just need to make the playoffs, and then you start trading your first round picks. I really hate when teams start trading first round picks without making the playoffs. We've seen that with Ottawa, with Chychrun and DeBrincat trades. Just blew up in their faces. They need to make the playoffs, and then starting next year at the trade deadlines, then you start trading your first round picks for help. I just don't think they're ready yet to start trading first round picks. They're also probably going to get massacred if they make the playoffs and have to face the Avalanche. They'll have a really better chance against Vegas if they make it into that, Pacific bracket. But if they end up in that central bracket and they trade a first round pick, you're going to lose probably either way. But I would trade one of these second round picks. A second round pick's nothing to scoff at, especially when you're probably going to finish one of the first teams to be eliminated from the playoffs. So it's a pretty high second round pick that teams might go after, as opposed to second round picks for cup contender teams. So definitely that second round pick for Utah would be better value. And you got 3 of them. So I'm okay with trading one of them to acquire some help. And so what help do I think the Utah Mammoth need? In my opinion, I think they need a veteran playoff performer presence in their top 6 or top 9, and they need a backup goalie. So those are the players I targeted here in my targets. I feel like they're missing like a veteran player in their forward group, their top 9 especially, like Keller, Schmaltz, Krause, Hayden, Peterka, some others, now Kerfoot because Daniel Boot got sent down, Culie, Gunther, if I already mentioned them. Most of them haven't even made the playoffs. The last time Keller, Krause, and Hayden made the playoffs was that bubble play-in round where they beat Nashville and then got massacred by the Avalanche. I already said that, and it already happened in real life in the past around 2021. Schmaltz was injured for that play-in round and playoff series against the Avalanche, so he wasn't playing then. So they need playoff experience to help this forward group. They have a lot of it on the back end. Sergachev, Schmidt, some others. Marino's been in the playoffs. Ian Cole's a Stanley Cup champion. Oli Mata, Stanley Cup champion, playing in the Olympics. So they got enough of that on the back end, but I feel like they're missing it on the forward group, especially the top 9, because in the forward group, the only Stanley Cup champion I would say is Kevin Stenlund. I'm probably missing someone. It's been like 4 weeks since I watched a Utah Mammoth game, so forgive me. I think Tanev was supposed to bring that experience to the forward group, but he seems to be on the outside looking in, not playing too great this season for the Mammoths. So let's get into the players. I got Jake DeBrusk from Vancouver, 29-year-old winger. A lot of money, not a lot of money, some average money for a lot of term. $5.5 million for 6 years. I get it, it's really long, and he's probably going to be taking a spot starting next season, taking a Ginla spot. Maybe Daniel Boot improves, but to inject a playoff performer in DeBrusk, he's a 4-time 20-goal scorer, just to add that into your top 9. Like, what if DeBrusk becomes a second-line winger and we could start Iginla on the third line and pair him up with some good players on the third line? Then you have 3 scoring lines, which I think the Utah Mammoth need moving forward. They can't be too top-heavy, relying on their top 6, and then have 2 real checking lines. I feel like they're missing that spark, that offensive spark in their bottom 6, especially that third line. And a lot of these guys are very feisty, competitive players, sort of playing that Bill Armstrong type of hockey that Bill Armstrong always talks. And I feel like it's missing from the Utah Mammoth, like Carcone, Yamamoto, Daniel Boot's gentle, like not a lot of fierceness in the forward group just yet. I know Baudouin, Iginla, they're going to be feisty players. Daniel Boot probably needs to get a little bit meaner down in Tucson. Then Braden Shen, 34-year-old center with the St. Louis Blues. Obviously, some history with Bill Armstrong as he was part of that 2019 St. Louis Blues Cup win. Shen, 28-time 20-goal scorer. Obviously, he's nearing the end of his career. 3 years left at $6.5 million. I counted March and April as a year. I counted as a playoff run, so it counts as a year. So really, it's 2 more years after this March and April. If he joined the team, I have O'Reilly from Nashville. Obviously, all dependent on if Nashville falters and gets out of a playoff picture, then they would start probably selling off their veterans. 35-year-old center, also won the Cup with the St. Louis Blues in 2019. Kadri, his name's been out there, and his name's also been tied with the Utah Mammoth. It's a bit long for a 35-year-old player, like 4 years. Like even Shen, 3 years is pushing it, but it's fine. 2 more years after this one. But 4 years is a bit much, so I'm not really sure about that one. And $7 million, Calgary would have to retain. That's a big cap hit for a guy in his 35 to 39 years of playing hockey. Michael Bunting, former Coyote, still with Nashville, 30-year-old winger. Again, brings that feistiness. He was a 2-time 20-goal scorer. Although his production has decreased, I just feel like he'd be a great addition to the depth of the forwards for the Utah Mammoth, even though he's not really a playoff performer. Making the playoffs he did with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we all know about their history with the playoffs. Blake Coleman from Calgary, another feisty depth player you could put on your third wing, back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just would be a great addition to this Utah Mammoth team. Bring veteran experience, bring some grittiness, some feistiness to the team, and just aid along these young players who are hopefully going to enter the playoffs for pretty much their first time in their careers. Hartman from the Minnesota Wild, his name's on like every trade deadline board. So if, people being paid are putting him on their trade list board, why can't I? I would love Hartman on this team. And the reason why they have him on the trade list boards, even though Minnesota is going to compete for the playoffs, they want to add more and they need to shed some salary, and Hartman seems to be the odd man out. So if he's available, I would love to grab him. $4 million for 2 more years. And then the 2 goalies I would love to acquire as a backup to Vejmelka, or like a 1A or 1B to Veggie, is Montembeault from Montreal and Lankinen from Vancouver. Montreal currently has 3 goalies, and teams don't really rotate 3 goalies for much long. It's gone on pretty long, a couple months. And definitely for the playoffs, you never carry 3 goalies. So they're going to look to move one of their goalies. And I think it would be a huge upgrade over Vanacek. It's not a lot of years, so 1 more season after this upcoming season, which is a perfect timeline for Hurlball. I feel like Hurlball should at least have 1 season in the American Hockey League under his belt. I think a Vejmelka-Montembeault tandem would be great. Utah plays a better defensive system than Montreal, so I think he would thrive. Last year, Montembeault had 31 wins on the season. This year, obviously, his numbers are a bit down, and he's had 3 straight seasons of a .900 save percentage or better. And then Lankinen from Vancouver, longer in terms of term, 30-year-old goalie. I agree it's too long because, like I already said, Hurlball's coming up in the ranks, but it's cheap enough that, if it takes 2 or 3 years for Hurlball, then you could dump off Lankinen in that 3rd year and bring up Hurlball. Or you never know what would happen to Vejmelka. But I really think Vejmelka needs help. We cannot ride him again for 23 straight games like we did last season after the 4 Nations. And it's looking like we are going to ride Vejmelka hard till the end of the year. He's our best bet to make the playoffs. Whenever Vanacek is in net, more often than not, we're not getting points, and we need our goalies to help us grab points. And there is a risk of just running Vejmelka into the ground, even before the playoffs. So I feel like, knock on wood, hopefully there's no injuries to Vejmelka from here on out, but you got to give him some help. And I really do think Bill Armstrong failed in that backup position through the offseason and into the season. So this is his chance, to try and fix that and help out Vejmelka. Lankinen, 25 wins last year. And 4 out of his 6 NHL seasons, he's above 900 save percentage or higher. For Vejmelka, he's only had a 900 save percentage or higher once, which was last year. He's on pace this year, but the fact that these goalies have good seasons on their resume, have reached 25, 30 wins, like that would be great addition to help Vejmelka and give him some rest and be comfortable. Whenever Vejmelka's not playing, I'm not comfortable, and I'm sure you guys aren't comfortable. And then their cap space, Puckpedia shows $6 million in cap space, but they technically have $21 million of buying power. The reason for that, the cap is so complicated to explain, but because there's 30% of the season left, you're only getting 30% of the salary of the player you acquire. So let's say you acquire Kadri, you're not paying him $7 million, you're paying him 30% of that, which is about $2 million off the top of my head. So you can add like 3 $7 million players because 30% of 7, 30% of 7, 30% of 7, 2, 4, 6 equals that $6 million cap space. So they have that cap space, but in hypothetical terms, it's $21 million of buying power because 30% of $21 million, I guess it's $6 million. You could go to Puckpedia and try to figure that out yourself. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. If you have someone you want the Utah Mammoth to acquire, if you want them to trade the first round pick, who would you want? What are some trade ideas you have? You could leave them in the comments. And as always, thank you for your support.